Okay, I'm ready. Ready for me? Good afternoon, and welcome to our voter education workshop. I'm Pastor Ashley, and we have our speaker, our voter educator, Miss Joan Hubbard, who was recently elected as the co-vice president of the League of Women Voters. She has been involved with the organization for about 20 years or more. So she has a lot of experience and a lot of information. And after she gives her presentation, then she will take some questions from the floor. So thank you for joining us. And now, Joan.
Good afternoon. My name is Joan Hubbard, as he indicated. I am co-president of the Metro St. Louis League of Women Voters. I don't know about the 20 years. I don't know where he got that from. But I've been there a while. But one of the things I want to let you know, Metro St. Louis League of Women Voters, we are about 600 strong. There are about 600 members. And so that gives us an opportunity for a significant reach if we want to do some things. And so that's what we've been trying to do. We are nonpartisan. Our slide. We are nonpartisan. We've been in operation for more than 100 years. And we've been working to preserve the freedoms that we all hold dear, specifically the right to vote. Not only the right to vote, but the right for your vote to be counted. That's important for us. And if you have paid much attention to what's going on, the issue is not only can you vote, but will they count your vote? And so, with that, I'm ready to start. Next slide, please. And we're going to talk about who, what, where, when, how, and why. And I'm specifically going to focus on the August 2024 primary, August 6th. This is a topic that we can discuss all day long. But I wanted to focus on what is in our face here and now, what we have to do now. And the first thing we need to do, we recommend that you make a voting plan. Registration ended July 10th. So if you have not registered to vote yet, you can still register to vote for November. But you have passed the time to register for August. I do have some registration cards out front, so if you need like a change of address, then you just need to let us know, and we can make that happen. And we also like for you to know that you can vote absentee if you are unable to vote on Election Day. Next slide. Who may vote? we want to talk about. I've already talked about register by July the 10th and who can register to vote. This is an important issue because I'm sure you have heard from some of the state legislators about how they are concerned about citizens, only citizens being able to vote. And you know, until recently, that was never an issue. First place, we all live here. We've all lived here forever and ever, so not being a citizen was not an issue. But now, all of a sudden, this is something that we want to talk about. When we talk about what you need to register, you got to have the last 4 digits of your SSN and your Missouri State ID number, and we're going to come back to that. You can register online, and this works well. I did a voter registration drive out in Delwood, and we registered young people on their cell phones. You can do that, and we recommend that. Of course, you can also do it on the paper forms, like I said, that are outside. You can also go to some public libraries and do that. Next slide, please. One of the things that we in the league are promoting, remember, we are all about people being able to vote. One of the things that we are promoting and that we're trying to make sure that people take advantage of, those folks who are off papers. That means those people who have come in contact with the criminal justice system in one way or the other. If they are off papers, we recommend that they go through the process so that they can vote. And I do have some paperwork out on the front table. If you know someone, if you need someone that you can share that information with, please take it with you and make sure that that information gets out. This is a population that we need to make sure that their voice can be heard. Not only that population, but we are working to make sure that those folks who are what are called homeless or unhoused have the opportunity to vote. That takes a special effort. We've been working with 2 groups, St. Patrick's Center and Biddle House. If you fall into that category, they will allow you to use their address to register to vote. Remember, League of Women Voters, we are trying to get everyone in place so that they can vote. If you need that service, you can call me and I will have, this is a new program, we're just starting this. You just need to let me know if there's something specifically that we need to work with, but you also need to know that you have the opportunity to share this information with any of your friends, family, people in your community, so that you can to get the word out so that people know that they have that. Next slide, please. As I said when I started, we are here to talk about August 6th, but that is what's coming up, the date that we need to pay attention to. Let me go back for a minute, a couple of years ago, 2022. If you will remember, before then, your ID that was required to vote could be that little postcard that the election board sent to your home. You could use your utility bill. You could use your student ID, your employee ID, those kinds of things. In 2022, our state legislature decided that that was no longer acceptable. And so they wrote legislation that requires that you have what is called a state-issued photo ID. Now, the only thing wrong with that is that the only place you can get that is at a Missouri Division of Motor Vehicles place, the DMV. I'm aware of maybe 2 locations in this area, you know? And the only way you can get to them is by car, transportation. There's no bus service or anything of the sort. You can't get to it. So the issue becomes, how do you get that? How do you get to that? Well, the League of Women Voters and the NAACP filed suit. And of course, you know how that goes. It's winding its way through the courts. It's on hold. Implementation of that is on hold right now. But we in the league, we know that it's going to come back. We cannot accept that just because we filed suit, we're going to win. We don't know that. The legislators have been working very, very hard to do what they can to suppress the vote. The way it was explained to me by someone is that we have to be concerned about fraud. And my response was, I'm not aware that we've had any instances of fraud. So what are we doing? What we are doing is reducing the number of people who can vote. Because what the implementation of this legislation does, it affects non-drivers. Not everybody has a driver's license or drives or even wants to drive. It affects seniors who have let their driver's license expire because they have no use for it, and disabled. They have no way to get it. One of the things when this, in addition to filing suit, one of the other things that the league did was write a request to Ashcroft, because it's his responsibility to implement this, asking him to set up mobile centers, let's say in a church. We could designate a day where we could get people to come in and fill out the paperwork, take the photo, because you know a photo with a camera, take a photo, print it out on a sheet of paper, and you got your Missouri State issued photo ID. That idea didn't go anywhere. It is sitting on his desk. Let me just say to you that what we have been trying to do in the league is, first of all, we've been encouraging everybody to, wherever they can, however you could, to go ahead and get the photo ID, because it's not going anyplace. And also be prepared that if the courts ever rule on this issue, and they rule against us, which we would expect, we would be in position to implement something if we let everybody know that this is an issue. If you will look on the screen, you will see where we have it marked off. That would be the utility bills, the employee ID, and and that form that the election boards used to, well, they still do. They send you those forms in the mail, but those are not considered to be valid IDs to vote. I don't know what they're to be. But then the other thing that goes with this is that in order to get that photo ID, just like with a driver's license, you got to have proof of birth, as in a birth certificate. Not everyone has a birth certificate. Not everyone knows where it is. Let's say your house caught fire and everything is gone. What do you do? Change of names. It impacts people who have married once, twice, 2 or 3 times. Those are the impediments that go against making sure that you can follow up with this. And that's why we say, that is why I'm spending so much time on this, because one of the things I want us all to know is that this is something that is out here. It may not affect you personally, right? But it affects someone that you know. And I'm sure Pastor would agree that we've got an obligation to take care of each other. And the only way we can do this is if we have the information that we can share and willing to share. In order to get those documents for getting the ID, the League works with an organization called the ASHRAE Foundation. It's over on Prairie, and we have the information on where that is, contact information. If you need that information, we can get that. They can help work with, let's say, other states. Let's say you're from out of state, and your documents were left at wherever you were. They can help work with that and get those documents for you, and then you can get them and go to the state and get your photo ID. Now, also one other thing, before you go, just remember that you are supposed to be able to get this free of charge. I don't know how that works. I don't know anyone who was able to get that, because remember, the DMVs are privately owned operations. And so their focus is on making money. It is not on getting you qualified to vote, okay? Next slide, please. Now here's where, okay, you can vote on a provisional ballot in person on August 6th, and your ballot will be counted. Now let's talk about a provisional ballot. A provisional ballot is one where you come in and you don't have your ID. You don't have that photo ID. The poll worker does not want to fight with you. So the poll worker will give you what is generally a blue ballot. It's called a provisional ballot. You can fill out your paperwork and they'll accept it. And if you come back before the close of day on August 6th and show them your ID that you went home and found, then they will accept it. If not, then your provisional ID is set aside in a space reserved for use by the election board, and they will have the opportunity to then go and verify your signature. I don't know how that process works, but you and I have been around long enough to know that that can be difficult also. Because in the first place, how many of you would go in and vote and then come back later on to verify your signature? That's why it is important for us. Wait a minute, she's smiling. Okay, let's now move to those things that work for us if we use it. And that would be the next slide, where we talk about the Missouri absentee voting choices. You can vote absentee for a single election. If you will notice, there are 6 options here, 6 reasons where you can vote. Number 2 is the only one on there. That option you can use without having to have your application notarized. And remember, these are applications. These are not ballots. These are applications. And so you don't have to, if you fall into the category of number 2, incapacity or confinement. That's the only reason that does not require that your application be notarized. All of the others, they have to be notarized, and we have a date of July 24th as a deadline. And the next one, this is a good one. This is an option that we think is good, and that is the next slide, on the next slide, where it is the permanent disability list. You have the opportunity to request permanent disability that will remain in effect until you move to a different location or you ask to have it discontinued. You don't need a doctor's notice. You don't have to stand in line. When it's time for an election, you will be mailed from the election board an application for a ballot. You complete that application, send it on back to the election board. They will then send you a ballot that you can use with which to vote. All of this, and you never have to leave the comfort of your home. Of course, that ballot has to be received by the close of business on Election Day. The other thing about it is, let's say you change your mind once you got it. You've applied for this disability application, and you change your mind and you decide you want to go in and vote. Then you just carry that ballot with you on into the election board, turn it in, they will give you another ballot, and you can then vote. The next slide, please. The next option that is good for you is in-person, no excuse absentee voting. And that's going to occur between July 23rd and August 5. That's the 2 weeks prior to the election. This is a great feature. I can remember being somewhere and I needed to go vote, and so I just drove up Natural Bridge Avenue, stopped at Julia Davis, went on inside and voted, and that was it. A lot of you saw my grandson here today. There was one day that he, because I always talk to him about voting, both of them. And he came in on a Saturday and went downtown and voted, went by his mama's house, got some food, and then went on back to school. But it's that kind of no excuse absentee voting that works well if you use it. It's there for you. Please use it. And not only that, but make sure that your friends and family and co-workers also use it. All right, the next thing that is a benefit, and this is a big one, and that is the Vote Anywhere machines. St. Louis County has had them for a year or so. St. Louis City got them this year. Those are the ones where wherever you are, you can vote. And now you can't go vote in some other county. You gotta vote in the county in which you live. But if you live in one poll district and she lives in another voting district, then both of you can go and vote in one district, and you got it. It is, that event is completed. That is what we call Vote Anywhere. Now, we hope you use that, take advantage of that Vote Anywhere. This is new equipment that the election board purchased, and we want you to use it. We want you to share it. We want you to make sure that everyone else uses it. We're trying to do everything we can to make sure that there is no impediment to you voting. Next slide, please. The calendar for the August 6th election. The big piece on that is Sunday, July 21st, vote 111. The League of Women Voters, in conjunction with the Post-Dispatch, publishes what we call a voter's guide. This is an informational piece of information that identifies who the candidates are that are running for office, the offices they're running for, and maybe a brief bio on them if they gave it to us, because we have volunteers that call and ask them for their information that we include. You will find those in our libraries, senior citizens, and this gives you the information so that you know who the people are. The deadline for this is the 21st, and so that's next week. So if you can, if you want to, take the opportunity to get this information and share it with friends and family. And of course, we also talked about the other dates, the no excuse, in-person absentee, and the last day to apply for the mail absentee. The St. Louis County Board of Elections has already identified that their polls are going to be open on that Saturday before Election Day. I expect that St. Louis City will do the same. They just have not publicized it yet. But I do know that they did that last year. That Saturday before Election Day, they were open. Okay, next slide is, why should I vote? Why should I vote? You have no idea how often we've heard people say, why should I vote? It doesn't matter to me. I don't see that it makes a difference. Your streets, all those potholes in the streets, the lack of street lights that you see in our neighborhood, our poor schools, our fire protection, our police protection, all of those issues are dealt with at the local level. We tell people all the time, vote in every election. It's your local elections that make the difference in your daily life. You know, we all have a tendency to chase that spinning ball of the presidential election. And that's good. I mean, the press forces us to do that. But on a day-to-day basis, it is that alderman, that councilman, that city person, those are the people that affect your daily life. Those are the people that you need to vote on, and the issues that you need to vote on. You know, I hear, and then the other thing I hear is that when they say, why should I vote? And I say, you vote every election. And who should I vote for? I say, you vote for the person that most mirrors your values. What do you stand for? And then the response is, I don't like any of them. I say, find the one that you least dislike. Not only find that one, but once you have voted, then you stay with them. Once someone is voted, please don't just walk away. Stay with them. They have email addresses. They have phone numbers. Issues come up. Talk to them. Let them know what you think, what you stand for. Remember, we're talking about values. You're voting for your values. What do you think is important? And don't expect them to know what you think is important if you never tell them. That's what you got to do. And I know it's hard, but democracy is hard. Now, next slide is what will be on the August 6th ballot. And we're talking about, of course, you know who these folks are. And if you'll notice, a lot of them are Republicans. And so please make note of that. Please pay attention to that. When our voters guide comes out on the 21st, hopefully we will have additional folks involved in that. But I did not have the names available as of this writing. But these are the ones that we think that you need to pay attention to. And, you know, people don't know what you think is important if you don't tell them. Now, okay, what will be on the August 6th ballot? That's the next one. The August 6th election is a primary election. You will have to declare, when you go to the polls, you will have to declare whether or not you want a Republican ballot or a Democratic ballot. Just remember that, and don't get all bent out of shape when you get there. You know that that is what the legislators wrote into law. And I go back to, you have to stay with these people, you have to let them know what you consider is important, and that's how change happens. I've got some handouts on the table. One deals with, are we on Amendment 1? Okay, Amendment 1. That is the one that is a tax that's supposed to be dedicated to child care, child homes, children's homes, or child care. And it's that these homes would be exempt from property taxes. The League has not taken a position on this particular issue because we don't know if this works or why we would think it works or anything of the sort. We do have one member, I can tell you, who is very adamantly opposed to this because she is visually impaired. She's blind. And if you have the detail of the information is on the table out there, but the source of funding for this, for Amendment 1 is a reduction in the blind pension fund. And so, yeah, so she sees that as, you know, why do you take away from one fund that's supposed to help poor people and give it to what has been said would be corporations? We don't know. And so all I'm saying to you is be aware that it is out there. Those are the issues. And please vote for it if you can. The other amendment that's on the ballot, is Amendment 4. That's the one that increases the minimum funding for the police in Kansas City. Now, that's interesting also. We don't know here in St. Louis whether we like this or not, so our league is not taking a position because our sister league in Kansas City has said they are not taking a position on this. And so We are saying that we want you to have this information, but we are not taking a position on it at all because we don't know what they're doing in Kansas City. Next page, please. The other thing that we as a league do, we work with an organization called Election Protection, Our Vote. On election day, if you go to a polling place and you have a difficult time with your photo ID, whatever, you can call these numbers, and they have attorneys on staff ready to work and to help you. When you go, and this is important for all of you to know that this is a resource that is out here. Now, you will see them at the polling places. They will be at the polling places with some information on if you need some help and asking if you need any help. Just know that they are there to help you, and we work with them, and so please feel free to use that resource if you need it. And you'll notice that we have other languages that we are including. On the next page, on the next slide, we've already talked about our partnership with the Post-Dispatch, and of course we've got Ballotpedia and Vote Smart with Facts for All. These are resources that you can use. And our newsprint copies, Vote 411, nonpartisan. That's where you will get copies of the information that we're going to have in our newspaper this week. Almost done. The other thing that we partner with is the A. Philip Randolph Institute to make sure that people have rides to the polls. We do that. We ask that you help us, let us know that you need this kind of service, and that is something that we do. And we have a call a ride hotline that would be available. And if you have any difficulty in reaching that or needing that service, you can call the league office, and they will have the information that they can share with you also. Finally, I want to let you know how much I appreciate having the opportunity to stand here and talk to you about what needs to happen in order for you to become voting citizens. Voting citizens. We oftentimes are disheartened about some of the things that we see going on, but if we don't do anything about it, if we don't say anything about it, then it will continue. I appreciate having the opportunity to talk to each of you, and I have a request. I would like for each of you, when you go back, you talk to your family, your friends, your co-workers, all of those folks about what the issues are and about voting, encouraging them to vote. That's what we need to do. I guess at this point I can ask if there are any questions. Pastor Ashley. They have, what did he say?
committed
Voting.
voting fraud, you are allowed to vote.
That's good to know because some of us think that
No, once you have completed your time in the justice system, you are allowed to vote. No, you have to register to vote. Right, you have to go and get that photo ID, that state-approved photo ID.
So you're saying you have to re-register? You have to re-register because you could vote before you went to jail. Now, when you get out, you have to re-register in order to vote.
I would think so. And remember, I would think, and let's think about this for a minute. Before you went to jail, you lived at one address. I don't know that that's the same address that you would be living at once you were dismissed from prison.
So that's why you would have to re-register to vote.
And we recommend that you register at the election board, at an election board. Don't try and fill out one of those forms that I have in my pocket on the corner someplace. That does not work. You need the information that the election board has on you in order to make sure that your registration is valid. But remember, that's no reason not to do it. You are legally able to vote. You just need to exercise that right.
Because you're a citizen of this country.
Say that again.
Because you're a citizen of this country.
Exactly right.
But the question I wanted to ask was about the partisan, y'all said y'all a nonpartisan group. So if y'all have an election or the election been had, and the person that y'all wanted to win don't win, do y'all get an opportunity to tell your voters to vote for the other person next time? It's not like they gonna know automatically, well, this guy is not giving us the stuff that we needed. And so the League of Women Voters is already an organization. So being an organization, y'all should be able to tell the people that's in your organization and the people that come to you to say, well, this guy didn't give us what we wanted, so we need to vote for this other person.
We can legally and officially identify for you our position, and we can identify for you the votes and the options that whoever this is took.
Right.
That's public knowledge. We can just let you know that Joe Blow voted against.
What we want.
Yeah,
And
he
so,
voted against choice. Okay.
So would y'all help organize a recall of that candidate or something like
No,
that?
we cannot do that. That would, we would jeopardize our 501c3.
Okay.
That's the one thing that we have to make sure that we are always in compliance with nonpartisan federal laws.
Yeah. Okay, so.
But we don't mind telling you.
Right.
And
But it's a lot of rules that they got built up behind this voting that you don't even have in other countries. You either vote yes or you vote no. And then they put all these rules, and they're called red herrings in order to stop you from voting.
And that's why I'm here today, so that we can address those things. Because you're right. I'm here today because and asking you and begging you to share with your friends and relatives these issues. That's what happens. I'm here at one church. There's another league member that's at another church today. We are doing that because we know that, what is that? I believe my daughter said today, you don't know what you don't know. And so we want to make sure that you know that. But then we also ask that once we share this information with you, that you do something with it.
Well, I understand that because I really don't have no more friends because when they'll say, well, how they doing that? But they ain't supposed to be doing that. You need to vote. That's why we need to get together and go vote and get that to stop them from doing that. They don't want to do nothing like that. It's as simple as that. They don't want to do it. They don't understand that just this little voting stuff could get us some money in our neighborhood and we don't have to just keep living like this. We don't.
Amen.
This is just a comment on the League of Women Voters and them being nonpartisan. They are nonpartisan, truly, but when they give you, if you pay attention to the positions that they take in terms of, access to everyone having the right to vote, then you can take a look at the candidates and see where they stand on access to voting, and you can tell who they are supporting. So, if you're interested in everyone having the right to vote and access to vote, and then you have a candidate who is working against that, you can tell who the League of Women Voters is supporting, off the record.
Eh,
Can, can I ask, I know this is really more November than August, but in November there's going to be, I think, amendment to the state constitution about choice. Is that right?
choice?
In terms of women's health care.
Reproductive rights. Yeah, reproductive rights. And I think I've got a fact sheet on the table. That's another thing that we're pretty proud of. The League of Women, let me go back. When the Supreme Court struck down Roe versus Wade, Missouri, your great state of Missouri, was the first state to jump out in front and outlaw all kinds of choice for women. Right, and I said it didn't make sense to me because all of these are men who have no experience in health care, have never been to a medical school or anything of the sort. And all of a sudden, they are the experts on reproductive health care. Well, at its national convention, when was that? Last week, we went to D.C., and the League of Women Voters on a national level voted to begin a campaign to disavow this kind of action. So I've got some fact sheets, I hope I brought them, that we're going to use because we will be pushing that issue. Ashcroft has not certified the signatures yet. We turned in twice as many signatures as he said was needed. Now he's still counting and probably will not complete counting until the very last minute. No, he by law, he's got to do it before the election. And believe you me, these 600 members of the League of Women Voters will be at his house if he doesn't hurry up and do something. So when that happens, then we will have a number. We will have an amendment number. And we can come back to you and say how to vote on this particular amendment. But that has been done. And what you know,
And I would add to what he said that I take it personally because, woman has a miscarriage, then you deny her care.
exactly.
If she's raped, if she's molested,
Exactly.
you deny her care.
Exactly.
And many women have had miscarriages and got the same procedure that's used in abortion to remove the dead fetus. And the fact is, it's just unfair. You put a bunch of old men making decisions for women.
Who have no medical training and no experience.
Can you give us an idea of anything else that's coming up on the November?
On the other issue on the November that we expect to see is the initiative petition. He's still counting the signatures on that. If you remember, the initiative petition is what citizens use to overturn the laws and issues enacted by the legislature. That's how we got Medicaid. That's how we got, what is that? What is that drug that you, marijuana. That's how, yeah, that. Yeah, that's how we got that. But it was through the initiative petition because, okay, so now what happened is our legislators decided that they wanted to change the rules on how to get an initiative petition. So right now we've got, we managed to collect signatures on a petition to change that, to change it back to the way it was. Because if you will remember, there were some legislators, especially as it related to Medicaid, who were very adamant about the citizens didn't know what they were doing. And so we had to change that. I believe it was Medicaid and Clean Missouri. If you remember, Clean Missouri, those were the ones that our legislators were very upset. They had enacted this legislation, and then the populace came back and turned it around. So that one, and reproductive rights. And I believe there'll be a couple more, but those will be the big ones. If there is nothing else, Pastor Ashley, like I said, thank you for allowing me to be here today. I really do appreciate it. Say,
Can you do this again before November?
yes, I have made a promise that. Okay, thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
You realize that the league has had a table in Real Glory, and I've already asked Sister Joan, because she is one of our members, to come back. So yes, and yeah, and any material that she has, I'm more than happy to see us pass it out. So that's not a problem. In our zip code, more than half of the people
For all of the information that she posted or she brought today, excuse me, for all of the information that you all received today, it will be available on our website.